Alright, you're a trader and you want to be profitable consistently, but you're not there yet. You need to master your routine, mate. So we're gonna get into this one. We're gonna talk about how how exercise made my analysis sharper. So the whole point of this one is gonna be, how do you master your routine? Now, it's your routine, but I'll explain that in some time. So if I'm gonna go back to when I was able to figure it out, it was, I was gonna say 4 years ago, but I feel like I'm getting old in this thing now. I'll go back to 4 years ago. So we'll go to the transition to, in fact, no, let's do 6. It's better. 6 years ago was when I was transitioning into being a profitable trader, but consistently. Because before it was, okay, I know how to trade, but I knew how to trade in the trending market. I wasn't actually too good in sideways markets like we are now in August, shoddy market time, structure. So at the time I wasn't teaching. I was just trying to figure out how to leave London and travel and have an income. I needed to get out of the country at the time, but I needed an income while I was moving. I had money, like I had cash, but the cash wasn't in the bank. So what do I do with this money? That's where my mind's at. So because I knew kind of how to trade, I was like, I need to sharpen my knife and I need to get there. Otherwise, it could all fall down, sort of thing. And I needed to get out. So when I knew I could, of course, use the money to get out, but once I left, I needed to make sure I still paid for things consistently, because of course I've got responsibilities and I still need to live life. Do you know what I mean? So it could have been techie if I was in another man's country and I had no money at all. Do you know what I mean? And I was relying on also the pound sterling, because it's stronger than most. I was relying on it being there. They didn't want to make money in another man's country in his currency. Around that time, one of my children was on the way, and I'm getting old. It's much longer than 6 years. Jesus Lord. Okay, so I'd probably go for 8 or 9. Yeah. Yeah, and so I needed to solidify my soft understanding of the markets. I needed to understand how it moved cyclical. And of course, when it was moving sideways, not just trending. So I think for a trader, when you are at maybe 2-3 years down the line, obviously everyone's different, but just for like on a typical learning curve, that's when you start to find consistency, and you may think you made it, and then you overstand a little while after, usually after scaling heavy, that you kind of get it, but you're not really there yet. So that's where I was at. I'm trying to remember what the change was, and the change was, if I remember correctly, it was limiting myself to 2 trades per session. For a long time, I would, okay, so beat the market maker days, I would have 3 entries. So picture it, 3 shots in the chamber. Changing that to 2 was hard for me because I think initially I started off as a scalper. I would be able to place 10, 20 trades a day easy, like on one currency as well. It's bang, 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 picking at it. And I had to switch it to 2. And switching it to 2 was what finally gave me consistency. And with that was the discipline. Being able to only do 2 and walk away. Don't revenge trade. That's when you start to learn, okay, cool, am I revenge trading? Because I'm going over this certain number. You can start to chip away and chisel all of the bad habits, all the bad behaviors once you start setting certain restrictions on yourself. That's why I actually like prop firms, not because of how profitable they are mainly. It's because a student can actually see their performance and see when they're taking L's, when they're not, see their win rate. And usually we pay for extra subscriptions for access to those features, but if you just buy the prop firm, you've got it there along with the capital, do you know what I mean? So you should be able to make some money and do something with that. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point, to be honest. So consistency, of course, is the main thing and the only thing we should be chasing. You shouldn't be chasing the money. You shouldn't be chasing materialistic things. All of those things will induce the FOMO or the, what am I saying? The over-risking, the over-leveraging. When it comes to a rise trade trading perspective, if ever you do feel like revenge trading, then perhaps you might want to tweak your schedule and put the training after your trading session. Maybe you're going through something mentally that's a pressure for some reason and you want to move away from your strategy. Cool now, yeah? Continue with your strategy because remember, you've developed this strategy and therefore this is the best way you know how to get in the market and make money. So any detour is not practicing the best way you know. Do you know what I mean? So when I say your strategy is like sharpening your sword, yeah, if you went to battle, you wouldn't pick up the sword that you have not sharpened. That would be the blunt one. But that's what you're doing every time you detour from your strategy. You're putting down your sharp sword and then picking up a blunt one. Or you're still using or wielding the sharp sword, but instead, for the last blow, because this is going to be the last extra trade that you've magicked out of somewhere, you're going to go and hit them with your blunt sword, which is the shit trade. Excuse my French. So I hope that marinates. I hope that makes sense too. I do hope you ponder on it because we're only human and trader to trader, we're going to go through these certain experiences and it's not going to be a case of I've gone through it and so I'm the only one that can go through it. No, not really. After teaching a lot of people, you realize most people have the same obstacles. They just have different faces. What does that mean? Life is simple. Humans make it complex. So usually, like, this is typical, yeah? Usually I have a male student. Usually he has a woman. And the woman can be his mother, his partner, or his child. Regardless, he will have a pressure from a woman. And that woman, he is afraid to talk about how much he's leveraging on a trade. He would never ever even bother. He would never even bother talking to that significant other about increasing the amount. As far as she's concerned, he shouldn't be putting anything down. He should be doing something serious. And the problem is, trader to trader, what I'll tell you is, if I've got years ahead of you and you're not making money consistently from the charts, the difference is you haven't gone through the experience of showing this woman real money. And with that, it's because you haven't put real money into the market. Let me explain. If you make your monthly salary from trading, would that be impressive? Yeah. How many of you have done it? And how many times have you done it? A lot of the times when I speak to students, they get excited about making a week's worth. But I know nothing. That might pay for a Euro trip. Doesn't mean anything. The best thing to do is use it to scale very defensively. Don't put it down on that bag. Don't put it on this holiday. If you haven't built, yeah, for that plane to go blow up, yo, was it Bronny that happened to? Man just done, gone again. Can't see him again. But what did he leave behind? This is a man's life. Like, holiday niggas, you must understand this. Unless you have built, you haven't finished. You've opened a book called Life and you're skipping chapters in the book because you want to get to the end, the good bit. No. Every bit of mature masculinity, when I say this, is screaming at you saying, come on, G, come on, G. No. You gotta put in the work before you go on holiday, G. There's not even a financial pensioner that I've ever come across that's... Even dirty money, like, work has to be, like, your hands have to get dirty. You have to do something. And there are a lot of people who are trying to trade who were poor students in school. And there is a direct correlation of you being a poor student in school and not learning this thing called trading. I did say I was gonna yeah, let me leave it there. Thank you so much for your time, students. If you do or did hear anything that I discussed today that is of interest and you want me to expand on it more, contact me. It's not a big deal. Students are international, so I'm usually awake. If ever you feel like I may be asleep, don't you worry about that. The charts are the charts are stale right about now. So to be honest, I'm doing a lot of talking with new students because this is coincidentally my most busy time, just because there's more stress in the market, like sentimental, from traders, from students. So this is where you guys usually reach out the most, which is fine by me. I'm just letting you guys know, if you're a new watcher or what have you, yeah, contact me. I do like to help as much as I can, and of course I'm not charging anything, so yeah. sometimes of the year, certain periods like between Jan to March, the markets move best. So don't really do that much talking. Only from the tuition from the students you usually have, but because of the stress in the times, of the stress in the markets now, I'll get a lot of new conversations. I'm getting a lot of new conversations on Instagram as well. Yeah, good peoples. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.